sports. It's in the game.
A very good evening to everybody. Tonight, RPM Esports F1 arrives at Le Castellet, Circuit Paul Ricard in France for Season 3, Round 10 of the High Gear Championship. The circuit, chosen by Always Rick to be on the calendar for Season 3. Some drivers love it, especially Rick, and some just fear the French rain is going to arrive like it did in Low Gear. So let's see what tonight's going to bring us for what promises to be an amazing High Gear race. Circuit Paul Ricard is a fairly flat and wide open circuit with lots of open runoff areas, 3.6 miles long and made up of 3 sectors, giving a top speed of around 213 miles per hour. So we've got quite a few action zones to look out for tonight. We've got the famous Turn 1, the left-hander that drops away to the left-hand side, which caught out both Vettel and Bottas back in 2018. We've then got a really tight Turn 3 at the end of the first straight, so that's going to be interesting on the first lap. The tight right-hander that caught out Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly also back in 2018. Let's hope not to see any of that in tonight's race. Or will it be the famous Turns 8 and 9 at the end of the long straight? And last but not least, we've got the tyre strategy. That'll no doubt play a part in tonight's race. Who's going to try and qualify on the mediums and do a medium to hard strategy? Will somebody take a gamble on a soft to medium on a one-stop? Who knows? Will it be a downpour again like we had in Low Gear, and will it be inters? Will it be wets? Who knows? Let's see. Let's find out, and let's get straight into the quali action. And yeah, very good evening. So we've got Shaq joining us in the chat, who is racing tonight, and we've got Luke. Good to see you, Luke. It's a shame that you're not here with us on track this evening or on comms. I'm looking forward to having you back, and to that end I have a little surprise for you the next time we do comms together. You will be pleased to know we've got Evil Master saying he should have joined us on comms. Well, no doubt you'll be DNF'd within the first 3 minutes of the race, and then you could always join in. And we've got Marco. Unfortunately, Marco cannot join the race tonight because he's got some wheel problems. We won't mention which manufacturer it is that's causing the problems, but we will do our best as we go through this evening to take you through the race. So before we start, I think it's time to give a little bit of a weather update. So according to the TAS system, we are looking at a dry quali, which is great, but in the race we are expecting rain around 15 minutes in, 17% chance of rain on 15 minutes, increasing to 51% chance of rain on 30 minutes and 77% chance of rain on 45 minutes. So if that weather forecast is anything to go by from what we had in Low Gear this week, that 15 minutes will probably turn out to be quite a lot of rain quite quickly. Great to see Huss in the chat. Nice to see you, mate. I'm looking forward to teaming up again on Monday for the practice race. Obviously, the lack of our teaming up on Monday meant that I had to finish second and not first. So, yeah, I'll have your bit of tuition back as soon as is possible. Before we start, as the guys are doing their first few laps, as is tradition, we will go through the grid lineup. So on the High Gear grid, we have Jetfish and a free seat in the Mercedes. We have Ephraim, who hasn't joined us tonight, I don't think, so couldn't join us unfortunately, and another free seat in the Red Bull. It seems that nobody wants to go up against these High Gear drivers, the best of the best that we've got for in RPM. Then we move on to the mighty team up of RPM Colin, Mr. Esports himself, I found out this week that Colin is also just about to receive a liable case from a certain low gear driver's lawyer, where Colin has been saying that certain bribes have gone on Team Party. So we'll have to sort that out a bit later on. Colin teams up with Luke. Unfortunately, Luke can't be with us tonight, but we'll be back next week. In the McLarens, we've got KVKFC, aka Brian. Too many letters in that. So we've got Brian, and Brian is teaming up with RPM Backer, who has had some fantastic news this week that he is expecting to be a father for the first time. So a massive congratulations to RPM Backer, and I'm sure that we will be looking for a fantastic result tonight to celebrate that fantastic news. So yeah, congratulations to Backer, and also congratulations to Always Rick too for the news of becoming an uncle. So yeah, all of RPM are absolutely made up for you, buddy. We then move on to the Alpine team, of course my favourites of Andrew and Lucis. I don't think Lucis can be with us tonight, but Andrew is, so I will be secretly rooting for Andrew in the Alpine. In the Alfa Romeo, we've got Yarny and Brent. So Brent's back with us tonight. We know that Brent's got amazing pace. So is Brent going to be able to challenge the likes of Backer, Brian and Colin around France? We shall see. In the Alpha Tauri, we've got Always Rick 2 and Higgsy. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, Always Rick can't race with us tonight. So it's Higgsy flying the flag alone for the Alpha Tauri, although we do have some reserves, but we'll come on to those in a moment. In the Aston Martin, we've got Oh No It's Joe, and I'm sure that a few people will be saying Oh No It's Joe when he comes up behind him, because he's certainly got some pace. So we'll have a little look at Joe a bit later. Also with Joe teaming up in the Aston Martin is Maggot, the Flying Irishman. Amazing pace, had a little bit of bad luck in the last couple of races, so Maggot's going to be looking for a good race tonight. In the Haas team, we've got RPM Cosmo that can't be racing with us tonight, unfortunately, and a free seat, so again taken up by reserves. And then finishing off with the Williams of Riyad Yamakovic, who goes by the name of R1. No, he doesn't anymore. He's Riyad Yamakovic actually on the screen that you can see. So that's good. We've got a little bit of harmony in the naming, so that's the first. And last but no means least is FRL Rotation, who's joined RPM fairly recently and shown some amazing pace, and probably one of the biggest threats to Colin's reign, shall we say, as the king of RPM at the moment. So that's the grid lineup. So we've then got the championship standings. As to be expected, we've got RPM Colin in the lead, who's had a fantastic season so far, with only, I think, a couple of DNFs due to a wheel disconnection. So we've got 297 points for Colin, closely followed by his teammate Luke, so a little bit of a block out on the constructors. Luke's got 178 points, followed by Jetfish in the Mercedes, so Jetfish is going to be looking to close that up tonight for definite. We've got Andrew in the Alpine in 4th place with 145 points. We've got Brent in the Alfa Romeo in 5th place. Then comes the two McLarens of Brian and Backer. Backer's a little bit behind, 23 points behind his teammate, so he'll be looking to close that gap tonight. Followed by Maggot in the Aston Martin. Rotation, even only after a few races, has made a big impact in 9th. And rounding out the top 10, we have Higgsy in the AlphaTauri. And how does that translate to one of the constructors, or all of the constructors? As to be expected, Ferrari have got a big lead in the Constructors' Championship, so they're probably going to run away with it, especially when Luke gets back from next week. We've got Alfa Romeo in 2nd, and this is where the real battle starts. So we've got Alfa Romeo in 2nd with 206. We've got the Alpine team in 3rd with 199. We've got Mercedes in 4th with 187, and then McLaren in 5th with 179. So quite a close battle from 2nd all the way down to 5th. So after all of that, the usual stuff, Luke is saying in the chat that he is still P2, although he probably won't be after tonight. Well, only time will tell, Luke. So as we jump on board, we'll try and catch up with who is on a flying lap. So we've got an out lap from Yarny. Just to mention some of the reserves that are reserving tonight. So We've got a few drivers who are reserving, so we've got Evil Master who is reserving from mid-gear, who is fighting for his high gear seat for next year, which we will take great pleasure in giving him if he can actually finish a race. We also have Shaq, so Evil's teammate from mid-gear, also reserving in the AlphaTauri. We have Jewel, who is reserving in one of the Haas cars tonight. So I don't think Jewel could race with us last night. We have RPM Eek, who is reserving. So last week in Portugal, Eek did a fantastic job in low gear by winning the race. He then did another fantastic job in mid-gear, reserving, and also won the race, and then also reserved in high gear and had a very respectable turnout. So it's going to be interesting to see how Eek gets on tonight. So that's the reserves for tonight. We've got 16 drivers in the race, and we've got one driver, RPM Backer, who has already retired in the pits. Has he retired in the pits or has he retired on track? We don't know. We will have to, if you're watching in the chat back, maybe you can let us know exactly what happened there. So let's try and see who is on a lap. We're on an out lap with Evil Master. So we've got the first driver that we've come to, just coincidentally is an Alpine. And it's Andrew. He was slightly improved on the first sector. As we have a little look at Taz, Andrew's coming through, set his fastest lap on sector 1. He was holding the fastest lap in total for sector 1. No, he's holding the fastest sector 2 with a 27.512, and he's matched that perfectly again. So, he's invalidated. As we have now seen, he has invalidated, so we will move off Andrew. We've got Higgsy on an out lap. We've got Jewel coming through, who's quite early on. Let's have a quick look. We've got Yanni, who's currently in 7th with a 1:30.2, and Yanni's coming through now. Let's see what sort of lap time he sets in the Alfa Romeo. And that's a 1:29.7, so an improvement of 4/10, and that puts him up to 2nd. Of course, it goes without saying that the king of RPM has set the fastest lap so far with a 1:29.6 on the mediums, which is King Colin. We will get a lap in with Colin when he goes out to the softs. I know that everybody wants to see Colin's fastest lap. That puts him on pole, so we will try and catch that if we can. So we've got Evil Master that's just set a lap, and I think he's going on another one. We've got Shaq coming through as we just try and get a little bit familiar. We've got an invalidation on Jewel. Oh, as Brian sets the fastest lap with a 1:29.4 on the soft. So the gauntlet is down. Backer is telling me that it sounds like we're in the bathroom. Is that right? So have we got some, if we've got some sound difficulties, then just let me know and we'll try and do a little bit of a tweak on that. So yeah, since you've DNF Backer, if you are watching the stream and you don't mind, you can maybe let me know what the audio's like. Same for you, Luke. Just have a little bit of a sound check. Yeah, I don't trust Backer's feedback in about sound checks. So Luke, if you could let me know in the chat if the sound is correct. You're probably one of the only people that I trust who's in the chat. Maybe Huss as well, if you don't mind. So yeah, it does sound like it. Right, well I don't know what's caused that. We will try and have a little look. Bit of an echo. So yeah, no idea. We've not done anything different to previous weeks. We've got another one saying lots of echo. Ooh. Maybe that has partly solved the issue. Backer's saying he's serious. That's like, well, there's a first time for everything, I suppose, Dookie. So yeah, if you could let me know if that's better. Okay, it's gone now. Yeah. That's the first time we've ever had feedback from the PlayStation microphone. But if that's gone, perfect. Thank you guys, much appreciated. Sorry for the echo. I'll catch back up where we were. The famous PS controller microphone. So, let's have a look who else is on a lap. So we've got Oh No It's Joe on an out lap. We've got Riyadh, who's not yet set a lap. We've got Jetfish on a lap as we go to the Taz. I don't know about beautiful voice backer. So Jetfish is set at 22.1 for the first sector. Backer's saying, will he do a last to first? Well, if you don't mind, I won't put any money on that at the bookies. So what we got from Jetfish at the end of sector 2, obviously not set a lap before, so unsure as to where Jetfish is going to be when he comes through. We did promise Colin that we would try and show on screen a slightly better representation of the Taz. So in a moment when Jetfish has finished this lap, we will have a go at sharing the Taz screen that the commentators get to see. As Jetfish comes across the line with a 129.9, putting him into 5th place. So the next driver we've got coming through is Colin, and Colin sets a 128.6, which is just a mere 1 second quicker. So congrats to Colin. What a lap. Fantastic lap from Colin. And Evil has retired. I'm guessing Evil has retired in the pits because he's set a good lap. I can only assume. So we've got Brian, who's on an out lap. We will try and stay on board. For a moment we will switch to the Taz and we'll see if the Taz is working properly. And no, it's not working properly at all. The screen layout is not as we planned it. So for that reason we're going to switch back. We can only test this live, so unfortunately that's a bit of work in progress for next time. Lessons learned. So we've got Brian on a lap coming into this left-hander. Let's just lose the UI for a moment and follow this lap with Brian as he comes into the right-hander at turn 3. Cuts the curb on both. Down to second, short shift third, fourth. Great traction. Onto the main straight. What's it going to be at the end of this sector? Luke is saying that Evil may bring the first 1-2 in high gear for Ferrari. Once again, Luke, forgive me if I don't run out to the bookies and place that bet. As Brian has made an improvement, actually. He has made an improvement. He's gone for his best first sector, and he's coming up to the end of the second sector now. Looks like we've missed the second sector, but he's gone green. He's gone with a 27.2 in sector 2, so he's improved on both. What's it going to be when he comes through? Let's pop the UI back on so we can see. He needs to improve to get on that front row as he comes out onto the straight. So Brian is going to set a, wow, 128.9. Half a second quicker than his previous lap. So an awesome lap from Brian. He'll be quite pleased with that. He's within 3/10 of Colin, so that bodes well for the race. We knew that he'd got quite good pace here. So yeah, let's hope for a great battle between Brian and Colin. We've got Yarno, who's not on a lap. We've got Higgsy 19 seconds down. Andrew 8 seconds down. We've got Jetfish, who's finished. We've got Shaq in ninth, who looks quite close at the moment. As I look to, he's not gone quicker in either sector, so he's going to have to put an amazing final sector in, which is possible. He's not giving up on the lap, so he obviously thinks there's a bit of hope in there to do it. As he comes up, good traction into the DRS, comes up to the line, and Shaq is going to set a 129.8, takes him to 8th place, so he won't be too disappointed with that. And I think that that may be the grid for the race. If only it was a reverse grid order, Mr. Backer, you would be on pole. And we've got RPM Eek, who has not set a lap, so I can only assume that Eek is going to take it steady for the start and probably start on the mediums, looking at the weather. What we won't know, of course, is which of these guys have actually run a wet setup or a half wet, half dry setup. I know that some people feel that there is no such thing as a wet setup. I'm not sure I believe you, because my car feels awful in the wet and I don't change it. So I'm sure that there is something known as a wet setup. As we look through the grid, we will go through the grid for the results. So we've got Colin on pole with a 28.6. We've got Brian in second, 0.3 behind with a 28.9. Evil Master in third, Yarny in fourth. On the third row of the grid, we've got Higgsy and Jewel. We've got Andrew and Shaq making up the fourth row of the grid. On the fifth row of the grid, we've got Jetfish and Riyadh. We've got Brent and Oh No It's Joe. But Brent is the first driver on the mediums, so I think Brent probably should have finished a bit further up than that. We've got Rotation in 13th with Maggot. We've got Eek, and making up the very back of the grid, we've got the daddy-to-be RPM Backer. So we can expect a good race working through the pack from Backer. If he does last to first, then I will be the first to buy the beers for sure. So while the guys are setting up their strategies for the race, I just want to point out something to all the RPM drivers that are either watching the stream live or afterwards. A bit of news for Season 3. So we have decided to change the trophies for Season 3, and we will be running the sort of powder-coated black version of the trophies for the top 3 finishers in each tier, plus the 2 winning constructor drivers, which you can see here. And also we've added for Season 3 the stainless steel plaque or trophy, as you can see here, and that will be awarded to every driver who is completing 13 out of the 16 races in Season 3, and we will also be looking to continue that into Season 4. So hopefully that'll be a nice little benefit for all the drivers in RPM who are racing with us. So as we now go to the formation lap, we will try to get set up here. We'll have a look at the tyres. So we've got the top 10 all starting on the softs, which is to be expected, and I would say under normal circumstances that they would be pitting around lap 5, maybe 5 or 6 to go onto the hards for the one stop. However, looking at the weather, we are looking at rain around 15 minutes, so depending on how accurate we have the weather forecast set, which I'm not sure for the lobby host, Mr. Backer, we shall see. We've then got 11th to 14th on the mediums, so Brent, Oh No It's Joe, Rotation and Maggot on the mediums, and then the last 2 drivers, Eek and Backer, starting on the hards, so they're obviously betting on the rain coming a bit later, so that those hard tyres will take them all the way to the end. So for those of you that are watching, if you've got any predictions for the race, if you want to shoot them into the chat, that would be great. As we prepare for the start of the race, we will stay on board with Backer until the grid forms. Shack Attack's very pleased with his quali time, a 1:29. His favourite number is 29. A 1:29.8. What we still don't know, Shaq, is why you added F1 to the end of your PSN. That's a particular favourite of mine. Only time will tell. Right. So we've got Backer joining up at the back of the grid. We've got Huss cheering for Backer, and we've got Marco saying that he's missed a strategy. So let's have a look, see if we can get a good camera angle for the start. We've got 5 lights and we're off. That caught us well unaware. Colin looks like he's got a good start, but so does Brian. Brian is on the outside as he goes into the turn. And Brian's took the lead, which is great news. Brian takes the lead from Colin, followed by Evil Master Higgsy in 4th, followed by Yarny in 5th, Andrew up to 6th, Jewel is in 7th. We have a yellow in Sector 1. Who is the yellow for? Let's have a look. Can we see? Oh, we've got 2 spinners. So we've got Jetfish, who has spun and looks to have damage. As we check the TAS, we will see if we've got some damage, and we do. We've got damage for the Aston Martin in 12th, and we've got Maggot with some damage also in 13th, but Jetfish and Backer are free as we move to the front of the race. So Colin is having a look at Brian already. We've got another yellow in Sector 2. We will have a skip back in a minute, but I want to keep an eye on this battle. We've got another yellow, which appears to be one of the Williams drivers. So these two look like they've got away clean. Evil is just starting to drop back a little bit, but we'll be happy with that start. We've got Higgsy in 4th. We've got Yarny in 5th. Andrew in 6th. Jewel in 7th. Oh, and we've got a 5-second penalty for Maggot for speeding in the pit lane. So he will be very, very, very disappointed with that. Let's have a quick look at the gains. Oh, did we just spot a spin? So let's have a look at the position change. Who are the big winners and losers? So we've got Rotation, who is the biggest winner with up 6 places. We've got Brent behind Rotation. We've got Eek, also I think started on the hards, followed by Backer, and Backer has had a spin, so maybe Eek's had a bit of a spin as well. So we've got Andrew, Riyadh, Jetfish, Maggot, Shack, and oh no, it's Joe. Must be a bit of an incident there as Backer looks to go around the outside of Eek. Eek's not going to protest. He's probably just going to follow Backer and see where this can take him. As we move back up the grid, Rotation looking to have a good battle with Jewel. Is he going to send it up the inside? So we've got a prediction from Luke, Colin, Rotation and Brian for the podium. So Luke's obviously basing that on common statistics. I think that Evil Master's going to show his stamina tonight, and he's going to bring that Ferrari home. I'm pretty sure of that. We got Jewel having a good race, really good race in 6th. We've got Yarny in 5th. Higgs's Colin sets the fastest lap, and Colin looks like he's about ready to have a little look at Brian. DRS is now enabled. So is Colin going to have a go before the DRS straight? I don't think he is. I think he's going to wait and try and get the job done on the main straight. Colin's still got 98% and he's now using his ERS, and he goes past Brian with ease, and I don't think Brian will be fighting that. I think Brian will be just sitting there trying to think, right, hang on to him as long as we can. They've built up a 3-second gap to Higgsy in 3rd, and then only a half a second gap to Yarny in 4th. So this is going to be interesting to see how this develops. And I've missed it, Luke, you're right, I've missed it. Evil has dropped it. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, I'm glad I missed it, because if I missed it, I can't be blamed for it, can I? So, and then we got Brent. And if we move back to, let's have a quick look at these tyres. So the tyres are now going to start to come into play. So Brent is the leading runner on the mediums. So Brent is probably in a really, really good position here. We are going to have to keep an eye out for the rain. It doesn't always show, as Colin sets the fastest lap. It doesn't always show on the spectator view, the same view of the rain that the drivers actually get to see. Let me just close that. Yeah, Brent's doing a really good job here, working his way through on those mediums, and he's bringing with him rotation, which we know that FRL rotation definitely has the pace. And look who's popping up in 7th place is RPM Backer, even after a spin. Marco is saying that Backer is only in P7 just because other drivers have spun. That's a bit harsh, Marco. That's a bit harsh. Come on, let's keep it let's keep it together for Team RPM. And we got Eek staying with Backer on those hards. So these two guys, I think what's going to happen here is it very much depends on where this rain is going to fall. Is it going to fall to the benefit of the medium runners, or is it going to come early to the benefit of the soft runners, or is it going to come late to the benefit of these guys running on the hards? We shall see. We've got Iggsy still behind Yarny, and we've got a yellow in sector 3, which looks to be a Haas. Or is it a Haas? Let's have a quick look back. Looks to be... Don't quite know who that was. It was a Haas. It was Jewel. So Jewel is now pitted. And we've got Brian who's pitted. We've missed that while we've been looking at the yellow flag at the back of the race. We've got Brian who has pitted to the mediums. So he's taken the gamble. He's gone for the undercut on Colin. So we'll keep an eye on that. Got a great battle going on here between Riyadh, Andrew and Evil Master. Evil Master must have had a bit of a spin. Oh, as Andrew comes alongside, has got the DRS, gets the job done. Oh! Oh! Evil Master, brake pedal disconnect. What is... Oh dear. Oh. Well, what can we say? Swiftly moving on. Hopefully that's not caused any damage. Evil does have damage on the front right, 45%. So, yeah, bit unfortunate with that. As Colin has stayed out, but Higgsy and Yarny have both pitted. And we've got rotation now in 2nd place, 10.5 seconds behind Colin. Brent's keeping up with rotation. And Dookie Backer is now in 4th place. And we've got a virtual safety car. And we've got a virtual safety car because Jewel has what looks to be retired in the pits, which doesn't usually bring out... It doesn't usually bring out the virtual safety car. We've got Marco thanking me for something, but I'm absolutely not sure what he's talking about. Unless it's Evil's crash, of course. So please let me know, Marco, whatever it is that you're happy about. And Luke is not happy at all that Evil has trashed Luke's car. Oh dear. Well, we'll have to see what condition it's in when you get back, Luke. I think that you've got a pretty decent mechanics team that will be able to get that repaired. Still under VSC. Nobody's pitted under VSC. Yep, I thought so, Marco. We only got one penalty for Maggot, and I think that was speeding in the pit lane. Jules is joining us in the chat saying he spun and he crashed. Whilst we were looking at that, we missed the sign there that DRS, I thought it said DRS had been enabled, but DRS is already enabled. So we'll go on board with Colin, because Colin, as previously said, when he's out front, he doesn't get much coverage, and I wouldn't want to be accused of being bribed by the rest of the pack. So Collins took those softs to 6 laps. I can tell you that Collins tyre wear, he's got 47% tyre wear on the front left as he picks up a 3-second penalty. The medium runners behind him have only got 30% tyre wear. But I think probably Colin can take these softs all the way through to the rain. Whether or not they're going to fade, I mean, the gap's come down. It was 11 seconds. It's now 8.3 seconds. So if Colin is starting to lose traction on these tyres, we'll have to see if this gap comes down further. We've got Brent trying to be the praying mantis, Richie Cavallino, just kind of sitting behind, waiting for rotation to make a mistake, or just waiting for that rain to come in and be the first to make that call. We've got Backer in 4th. We know that these hards are definitely going to stay out until the rain. Unquestionable. Eeks just dropped a little bit off the back of Backer. That sounds a bit strange. Off the back of Backer now. So 1.2 seconds, but nevertheless, still in a really good position. Brian's making his way back up on those mediums, 7.5 seconds behind, as Colin pits. So as Colin comes out, where is he going to come out in relation to Brian? Brian is now coming, Colin's coming out the pits, and Brian is coming up the pit straight. Who's going to get there first? And I think that Brian has managed the undercut. But he's on those mediums, and Colin has gone to the soft, so he's obviously not waiting for... He's obviously not taking the mediums because he thinks that rain is coming sooner, or he's doing a 2-stop. Oh, as Iggsy picks up a 3-second time penalty. That leaves rotation in the lead, so if the rain starts now, then this is going to be interesting on how this plays out between the guys that have already done their pit stop and the guys that are going long. So this is turning into a little bit of a strategy battle. However, if you look at the skies, if you can see what I can see, then at the moment it doesn't look like rain. Oh, as Andrew has DNF'd, and we've got a full course safety car. So this has thrown things right up into the mix. What's going to happen here? So we've got the first driver coming through is rotation. With the rain allegedly coming in, is rotation going to pit? And he does. Brent is also going to pit. Oh, Brent tries a cheeky little move there up the inside. Is Backer going to pit? He is going to pit. Is Backer going to put on the softs? Eek has followed him in. Colin is obviously staying out because he's only just pitted. Brian has pitted only 3 laps ago, so he's going to stay out. We've got Yanni, who looks like he's not pitting because he's now on the main straight. I think he was hesitating a little bit there, deciding what to do. Higgsy's staying out. All the drivers there that are staying out. And where are they going to come back out into the race as rotation comes out in 4th? Oh, as Jetfish picks up a 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. We've got Rob Williams joining us in the chat. Very good evening to you, Rob. Nice to see you back in RPM, and unlucky with the race last night on the first few laps. But I don't think it'll be long at all before you're back running towards the front of mid-gear. So good to see you, mate. So we've now got... So who went to what? So Brent's gone to the softs, which if this rain is going to come, it's probably a sensible move. If it's not going to come, then those softs will definitely not last till the end of the race. We've got Bakker, who's gone on the mediums. If the rain doesn't come, then those mediums would last till the end of the race. As we saw, they are capable of doing 19-20 laps. We probably will have at least one more lap under the safety car. Yeah, Luke's gloating now in the chat, saying that he's almost got the podium correct. Well, we'll see. It's not over until the fat lady sings, Luke. I don't know if that translates to Dutch, but it's an English phrase. It's what we use. We've got Riyadh in 9th, so in the Williams with his 3-lap old mediums. Jetfish catching up the pack. What this has done is this has brought Evil Master back into play, because he will manage to close up this gap. As we go on board with him now, just for Marco's benefit, just in case we happen to get another incident under the safety car, which is doubtful. But then the grief that he gives me in low gear, I think he deserves a little bit back. And we've got a scramble timing screen, putting Jetfish to the front, which we know is not the case. So we will wait for that to unscramble. At this point, we would normally go to the press room to see what the questions were, and they were set by Always Rick this week. Personally, I go straight to question 4, which is always, what is your prediction for the race? It would help if I actually go to the high gear press room. So Bakker has said that he hopes to repeat Monday's practice, which was I think it was a DNF if I remember correctly, because he just spun at the end of the race. We've got Rotation, who said that he would like to get P2, and that's what he's aiming for. Brian is saying that he wants a podium at least, but maybe better. We've got Brent saying he wants a podium, and we've got Higgsy saying he wants to get a new PB finish, but we will see. Well, I guess that depends on what the PB was in the first place, so we shall have to see. I'm hoping that the safety car is going to come in this lap. Here we go. We've got Captain Luke in the chat saying that he will try and translate it, and I can give it a shot in Dutch. Yep, fire away, Luke. Always game for a laugh, so fire it in there. But obviously I can't be held responsible for whatever it is that you make me say. Safety car is in, so let's get back upfield. Enough messing around with Luke in the chat. Marco is confirming that he has done 23 laps on mediums, so it can be done. Was that with or without a steering wheel, Marco? Right, when is Colin going to go? When is Colin going to go? And I can't see any sign of rain at all, so this weather forecast, I think, has probably been done on the most unpredictable weather forecast possible. This safety car has certainly closed up all the fields, so all the guys that have had a bit of a spin or a bit of an incident, it's taken it out. I've just seen Luke come through with the Dutch. I'll give that a go in a little while. In the meantime, Colin gets a great start. Brian gets a good start. Oh, Rotation looks like he's got the run on Yarny into turn 1. And he gets the job done. So we now have Colin, Brian and Rotation in 3rd. Yarny in 4th. Brent just off the back a little bit. So Brent will starting to be questioning why he's not at the front with those. And as I speak, I'm not sure it's my glasses steaming over, but I think that we have just hit some clouds. So I think this is the arrival of the rain. As Brent goes past Yarny into 4th, we got Higgsy a little bit behind in 6th, followed by Dookie in 7th. And it's definitely darker. It is definitely darker.
Backer, is he going to go up the inside of Higgsy? No, he thinks better of it. Higgsy holds it out around the outside. Very clean driving from these guys. And Eek is getting in the mix. Oh, as Maggot picks up another 3-second penalty. So he'll be disappointed with that as Eek gets great run. Is he going to go up the inside or is he going to save it for the straight? Has Eek been keeping his powder dry all this time? Does he have a bit of pace? Held back. Oh, as Evil Master picks up penalty. Eek goes off track. This is getting all a little bit crazy as this weather kicks in. But Collins just set a fastest lap. So as Backer looks to go on the left of Higgsy, as we can see. We've got Rob Williams saying if it rains, Backer will thrive. Obviously, you've not been following him recently. He probably will. He probably will. But he's making hard work of getting past Higgsy here. But Higgsy's got some real pace. We had a practice race last week at Portimao with Higgsy, and then we did a few bits on Saturday evening. And yeah, Higgsy's definitely got some natural pace. As Backer pulls alongside, can't get the job done there. Great driving from both of them. Is he going to have a look outside? Coming up to this next corner, we just keep an eye on the gaps, and sat behind is Eek, and sat behind him is Riyadh. Oh, and even closer we've got Maggot coming up, and behind him we've got a slight gap to Shaq. We've then got Jetfish. Jetfish will be disappointed with this so far. He would be hoping to run up front with these guys. Keep an eye on Brian. Brian looks like he's keeping up with rotation on those mediums. We've got yellow in sector 3, which is a Ferrari again. So is that the rain coming in? My screen is telling me that we've got DRS enabled, and I'm wondering if that means DRS is disabled. Maybe it's not. Evil Master has retired, so that's a bit of extra time that the Ferrari mechanics have got to work on Luke's car ready for next week. So unfortunate, Evil, but that's the way it goes. You want to race against the big boys? As Brian does get DRS, so DRS is still enabled, so we can it's just cloud. It's just cloud at the moment. No rain just yet. And Brent. Oh, and we do have rain. Rain is definitely coming. As we switch to Brent, there was definitely rain there. So now who's going to stay out the longest? It's going to be probably a couple of laps before somebody takes the gamble onto the Inters. I don't think anybody will take the early gamble, although what we did find in low gear is that all of a sudden the rain just absolutely appeared from nowhere as Brent's gone in. Is Brent going to take the gamble onto the Inters first? He's not on his own. Eeka's gone in, but Eeka's got a 5-second penalty. Is Brent going on to the Inters? He is. So Brent's taken the gamble. Eek's taken the gamble. Higgsy, who looks like he may have had an incident, has also come in, who will take the Inters. So where are these guys going to come out? Let's have a quick look what we've got on board with rotation. So Colin's got a 4-second lead, so he's got time to think about it, but the rain is definitely coming. The rain is definitely coming down. Oh, this is going to be great. Not for the drivers, of course, but I've done my race this week, so I don't really care. But yeah, here comes the rain. No, I've had a look at that translation, Luke. That's too much for me. Especially with all this rain around. Where are we going to be? Where are we going to be? Is Colin going to come in? I don't think Colin's going to come in, because I think Colin could probably take these So is that going to lead rotation into making an early pit stop? No, it's not. Brian neither. Yarny is also not pitting. So they're obviously confident on these tyres. Bakker is staying out on the mediums, so he doesn't feel it's time for the inters either. As we've got Riyadh doing the same, Jetfish doing the same, Maggot doing the same. Shaq is coming in. Probably got less to lose. As we look at the last lap times from Brent, let's have a quick look to see what Brent was doing. So, but that would be his pit lap, so that would be not representative. So we'll have to keep an eye on it this time. It looks like it's coming a bit more now. Yeah, Luke's saying that Brent is losing. You see, Luke, I'm missing my wingman. You're normally telling me this kind of stuff. Oh no, you're normally in this race, to be fair. We're normally doing mid-gear. Oh, as Riyadh goes wide. He takes a spin, bit too much traction. That is unfortunate. So it's definitely starting to catch these drivers out now. And still got DRS. Strange. Yeah, Bakker's coming through. He's just 2.9 seconds behind Yarny. Is this going to be enough rain to need inters, or are they going to stay out until it needs a bit more than inters? Because at 70% chance of rain, it's going to rain. It's whether or not there's going to be that intermediate intermediate gap. Luke's doing a great job here. I can't wait to give you your prize, Luke. Keeping me updated in the chat. What more could you ask when you're on comms on your own? Still nobody's coming in the pits. Shaq picks up a 3-second time penalty. So we've only got 12 runners in this race now, and we're only on lap 16. I think we are going to need to wait until the rain gets a little bit worse before we start seeing. I think the guys that have chosen to stay out on the dry tyres are going to keep it on until they really, really, really need to pit. We've got Rob saying that he would do one more, then maybe go in. Luke is wondering what his prize is. Well, all will be revealed, Luke, the next time we pair up on comms. We've got Maggot, who is... Oh, Shaq's picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Evil's offered to join us, but unfortunately, due to my interference of the other microphone, I'm not going to be able to do it. So, unfortunately, I've got to stay alone all the way through. Brent is now 30 seconds behind, so... Yeah, this is going to be... It looks like it's getting wetter now, though. This track looks like it's getting wetter. There's no puddles yet. And there we go. Brian makes the call. Colin stays out. Brian makes the call. So here we go. The race is on. The race is on. Bakker follows his teammate. I'm guessing they're in party. Maggot follows Bakker. We've got Riyadh staying out on those mediums. Is that a mistake? Is that a mistake? We shall see. We shall see. So Brian's out on the inters. Where's Colin going to be? If anybody can keep this going, Colin will be able to keep this going. Evil's saying, what other mic? Your mic is fine. Yeah, but when I plug the PlayStation mic in, it's not working properly. So it is what it is, I'm afraid. Rob's asking us to watch the undercut. Well, here we go. If we do have an undercut and Brian does manage to take the lead from Colin, then we have got a race on our hands for the last 10 laps. And what we also think is that we are also going to have even more rain coming. So the question is it going to move at the last part of the race from inters to wets? I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep up with this, but we will do our best. As Colin, is he going to pit? Colin is going to pit. He comes into the pit now. And if we have a look at the gap to leader, got 30 seconds for Brian, so we will see. Top 4 all pit in rotation. Yarny, Jetfish. Where's Brian going to come out? I think Colin has probably got this. I think there's no undercut. I think Colin has managed to keep those softs going. Clearly, he's out and in the lead already with a big lead. So as Brian rejoins in third, so the undercut has not worked for Brian as much as he was expecting. So that early decision to go on the inters has not delivered exactly what he was hoping for. Colin's 7 seconds down the road. DRS is now disabled, which we were expecting earlier. Yarny's having a great race in fourth in the Alfa Romeo, so Huss will be pleased about that. Awesome race, although he does look like he's struggling a little bit on these inters just to get them warmed up. So we've got Rob Williams telling us that the undercut was going to be huge. It turns out it's the opposite, but that's Colin for you. This track looks like it's getting loads wetter to me on my screen. Jetfish has made a great recovery into fifth, so he will be pleased about that. Bakker looks like he's struggling a little bit. He must have lost some time to his teammate. That might be the double stack, of course, because they did both double stack. Shaq has left the session, but I think Shaq had already DNF, so hopefully that's not going to bring out a safety car. Bakker looks like he's got his hands full with Maggot coming up behind him. All drivers are now on the inters except Higgsy, who looks like he's really struggling on these mediums, and I don't think the weather is going to dry out, Higgsy. So I think that you will need to move to the inters, or he's holding out to move to full wets. I don't think it's quite full wets just yet, as we've got Brian chasing down rotation. So this is an awesome battle for second. The next closest battle we've got is Jetfish chasing down Yarny for fourth position. Still got no penalties, the top 6. And Bakker just behind Jetfish in 6. Looks like he's struggling a little bit compared to some of the other drivers on these inters. That might be something to do with running no traction control, so making it a little bit trickier. I've got... Now, some would say that this is favouritism, Luke, but if Luke wants to see the gap between him and Jetfish, then I suppose for a split second we could pop that up on screen to let you see the gap. As we move back to... Oh, Higgsy picks up another 3-second penalty. Jetfish he has got past Yarny, so... but he is now 8.8 seconds behind Brian, so it looks like, if the weather stays the same, it looks like that Jetfish will probably finish the race in fourth place, but who knows, we could have some worse rain about to arrive. But Yarny's actually holding station here, so he's not giving up on this fight for fourth place, so fair play to him. They've gapped Bakker by 2 seconds, so I think Bakker's got to concentrate on the guy behind him, as Maggot's using a little bit of ERS just to keep up. As we just switch back to the front momentarily, we've got Brian, who is got 73% ERS, and we've got rotation with 99%, 98%, so equal battle for these two guys. This is going to be interesting later on. Or will Brian settle for the P3? We shall see. Yarny's keeping up with Jetfish. Luke saying that Jetfish would jump him at the moment. Well, possibly so. We will have to wait and see. There's still 7 laps to go. As we look a bit further downfield to make sure that we cover some of the other guys. So Maggot's having a good race. as Yarny picks up a 3-second penalty. So the first driver in the top 6 to pick up a penalty. Eek's having a bit of a lonely race. 27 seconds behind. So this is where you're probably starting to see now I mean, Eek's probably had a little bit of a spin, but this is where you're probably starting to see the experience of the high gear drivers. Eek's probably definitely low gear champion stroke mid gear front runner. So this is the difference in pace between the tiers. We've got Riyadh, who's had a couple of incidents, and then we've got Brent, who went to the inters quite early, and looks like he's pitted again onto a fresh set of inters. So Brent will be probably a bit disappointed that he took that early call and it didn't work out as wet as he was hoping it to be. And then we got Higgsy, who is struggling on those inters. He went to inters really late as Maggot picks up another 3-second penalty. So as we jump back to the lead, Colin, 11.3 seconds. I think that was 7 or 8 seconds. We've got yellow in sector 3. Looks like we've got a bit of an incident there with the Williams. Not exactly sure. Looks like it might have been Eek. Probably was Eek. Had a bit of an incident there. So yeah, I think this gap from Colin was about 8 seconds when we cut after the pit stop. So yeah, Colin's managed to increase that gap to 11.5. So showing that he's got amazing pace also in the wet as well as in the dry. And then this battle between Brian and Rotation is going on and on and on. Brian looks like he's probably using a little bit of his ERS to keep up. Rotation is still on full, so not using the ERS at all. But I'm guessing there's certain parts of the track where Brian will close up, and then certain parts of the track Rotation will pull away. We've still got this battle going on between Maggot and Backer, and then just in front of them we've got Jetfish and Yarny. So there's like lots of little battles going on, but not all together. Don't know what's going on in the chat. I'm just trying to keep up with the cryptic clues going on between Evil, Rob and Bumblebee. Good to see you in the chat, Bumblebee. Be good to see you back on track with us at some point soon. That would be pretty cool. As we have a quick check in on Brian. And yeah, this is definitely shaping up to be the slower of the recent races that we've had the pleasure to commentate on. As we've got Eek going into the pits. Higgsy has chanced it onto full wets. I don't know if full wets for the last lap or the last 5 laps will give him any advantage. I can't see any of the front runners moving to full wets at the moment. I don't know what Jeff's telling them in their ear. Jetfish has still not managed to shake Yarny. Backer's closed that gap up a little bit. 1.6 now. It was 2 seconds. Bumblebee saying that he might come back sometime soon. Well, hope so. Hope so. Be great to see you, mate. Always a pleasure. Even if it's just for the constant use of GIFs in the Discord, which is always entertaining. Although Richie Cavallino did have me and Bumblebee in absolute crying stitches this week with his suggestion for the name of Backer's firstborn. So we'll save that one for later. But yeah, it was an absolute classic. So if you are watching, Richie, that absolutely had me doubled over. So yeah, great call. Bakker just doesn't seem to be able to get on the back of these two. He's down to 1.5. It was 2 seconds, so he has gained half a second. Can he just get that bit closer? Yarni does have a penalty, of course, as we have a quick look to the penalties, because that'll give us something to check out. So we've got Yarni with 3 seconds. We've got Maggott with 6 seconds, Riyadh, Brent with 3, Eek with 6, Higsy with 6. So at the moment, Bakker is running a net P5. So, yeah, he won't be too disappointed with that, I think, from starting at the back of the grid. But nevertheless, if there's an opportunity, I think he'd like to probably pass on track. And if he is listening to the stream, Bakker, pass on track. Give us a bit of something to watch. So, not an awful lot going on with these gaps. Brian still keeping right behind rotation. We can take a little gamble how much ERS rotation has, and I'm guessing in the 90s, but he is using it now, so that's good. So Brian's obviously pushing him a little bit more than before. We'll have a quick look at the tyre wear just to make sure that nobody's got massive tyre wear, which they don't. Maggott's got the most with 31%. And then we've got and we've got Yarni. Oh my goodness, we have got a safety car. Yarni has DNF'd. And he did have the most tyre wear as it goes. And we've got a safety car with 24 laps completed out of 27. So I suspect that this is going to be a 1-lap safety car. So Colin's going to be disappointed. He's not going to pit. I'm guessing that Rotation's not going to pit as well. Not for just 2 laps, because they wouldn't even be able to catch back up to the pack. This has brought Bakker right into play. Jetfish is going to catch back up. And probably Bakker. The rest of the drivers, I'm not even sure if they're going to get the opportunity, because we will have lap 26 and 27. So the safety car will come in on lap 25. No, Mikey, no, as Luke says in the chat. I love it, I love it. No, Michael, no. 2-lap sprint in the wet on new inters. Yeah, this new wings for Maggott. This is just going to be crazy, but he won't catch up. I don't think he'll have time to catch up. Oh, and Bakker's pitted. I've missed that. Bakker's pitted for a new set of inters. He's not. He's gone on full wets. He's taken the gamble. He is going to have to race like an absolute champion. He's 22 seconds behind Jetfish, who is 16 seconds behind. And this safety car will come in. Yeah, everybody's in the chat having a little dig at low gear. There's a few drivers that have joined us in low gear, and low gear does not equal slow gear, guys. So ask Luke about practice races, you will see. Anyway, what Bakker has definitely thrown the cat amongst the pigeons here on those wets. He's 23 seconds behind Jetfish. The safety car will definitely come in at the end of lap, I'm guessing 25, giving us 26 and 27. So he's still 24 seconds behind. I don't think he's going to do this. I don't think he's going to get there in time. But if he is listening to the stream, get your finger out, Bakker. Come on. You could do this. Give us a race. Safety car is not in. So he does have one more lap to catch. He is going to catch them. Safety car has gone in. We've missed it. The safety car's already gone in. He's not going to catch them. So we've got Rotation 3 tenths behind. The 2-lap dash is on. Brian right behind rotation. This has just gone crazy. Backer didn't get the chance to catch up. So this is the 2-lap dash. Are those wets going to be giving him enough grip? I don't think they are. I think the gap is too big and I don't think it's wet enough. Keeping an eye on the battle at the front. I think this is just going to play out as it is. These guys have already given it all that they've got. We'll keep an eye on that gap, 16 seconds. It's not going to happen for Backer, which is really unfortunate. He took the gamble. Brian's got great pace through there. So he turns 8 and 9 as he gets back on the traction, and we've got rotation using the ERS to make sure he keeps that gap. Colin seems to be away 8/10. I'm hoping there's going to be no mistakes here. Jetfish is just behind. Looks like Backer's secured his 5th place. Brent didn't have time to catch up. We were 6 seconds behind. Maggot a second behind him. Riyadh, Eek and Higgsy. So the battle that we've got are these guys. The 4 guys at the front, which is how it should be as we start to enter the final lap. As we enter the final lap, I think Colin has just done enough. I think Brian has got the best chance of overtaking rotation, but he's going to have to push. He is going to have to push, and penalties come into play as well. Bumblebee is saying that this race is sabotaged. Well, that certainly wasn't me. Don't blame me. I'm not racing, so for once I can't be blamed. Jetfish just behind. No penalties for the top 5 drivers, so 1 penalty for any of these drivers could make the difference in this last half a lap. Nobody is going to pass anyone. We need a penalty. Come on, guys. Backer, the gap has increased, so it looks like Backer's really struggled. It looks like Backer's struggled on those wets as Brent's gone past him. So Brent's gone past him on the inters, so maybe that wasn't the right call by Backer. As we jump on board with Colin, who is coming round the last part of his lap. RPM Colin, king of RPM, looks like he's going to take another win as long as he doesn't get a penalty, and very, very well deserved. As he comes through the last corner onto the straight, 1.6 second lead from rotation, and high gear, the win in France goes to RPM Colin with rotation in 2nd, Brian in 3rd, Jetfish taking 4th. Brent, I think Brent does have a penalty, if I remember rightly. Brent does have a penalty, so we'll have to see how this plays out as we go to the penalties. He does have a penalty, and Backer's dropped all the way back to 8th, so not a good call. I don't know who his engineer was. As Brent takes 5th place, we've got Maggot in the Aston Martin coming across in 6th, but Riyadh has jumped him, and Backer has jumped into 7th on those full wets. We've then got Eek coming through in the Alpine. We'll just take a moment to admire such a great car. Great car, great team. Not to be tonight, Eek, don't worry mate. You'll be back in your Aston Martin on Tuesday at Silverstone, but you'll hopefully be looking at the back of an Alpine this time. Eek finishes 9th, and rounding out the top 10 we have Higgsy in the AlphaTauri, and that is your high gear race. So there we go, an interesting race packed full of weather related events, and the driver of the day is rotation. We've got Colin throwing away copies of F1 2021 because we will be moving shortly to F1 2022 at some point. But a good win for Colin, with FRL rotation in 2nd and Brian making the podium in third. So I do believe that Luke was correct in his prediction. We'll just have a look at the results for the person who does the score sheets. So we got Colin in first in the Ferrari, Rotation in second, Brian in the McLaren in third, Jetfish making his way from 9th up to 4th, Brent in 5th, Riyadh in 6th, RPM backer, could have done better, took the chance, went to the wets, gave us a few minutes of excitement, so thanks for that, backer, and yes, you can fire Jeff indeed. We've got Maggot in 8th place in the Aston Martin, RPM Eek, low gear driver, in 9th, and Higgsy rounding out your top 10. DNFs were Yarny, Shaq, Evil Master. Unfortunately, this time you can't blame it on your PS4. We've got Oh No, It's Joe and Andrew and Jewel. So that's the results for High Gear, and we are not going to proceed with interviews tonight. So that is the stream finished. Thank you very much for joining me in the chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to have my wingman RPM Luke back on mid gear, or RPM Jones if I'm doing high gear. But yeah, thanks to everybody for watching. We will be back next week at Silverstone on Tuesday, probably with Evil Master in the comms booth for low gear, and we're at Silverstone. So hope to see you all there, and thanks for joining me, and have a nice evening.